Okay, we day inside, we day inside, we day inside. See that be the who don't wanna be like that. Olamide and Wizkid, why not? Hi everyone, hello, 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 hello. Alright. Izzy is here. Izzy was quick, what?
Fast post. Hello.
Fast post.
Okay.
Hey, fine girl, no pimples. Fine girl, no pimples.
Small.
How you doing?
I'm good. How's it going?
Yeah, good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Definitely.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Welcome to Afrotalk. Welcome. Izzy, if you want to introduce yourself, not that you need much introduction, but just introduce yourself before watching.
So my name is Izzy Odigie, but I go by Izzy Odigie. I'm based in the US. I am Nigerian. I am a choreographer and dancer that specializes in Afro street styles.
Before we get into nitty-gritty, we usually play this get to know you icebreaker. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, some fun questions, and then you're going to answer as quickly as possible. Okay, so are you ready? All right, let's get it. All right, full government name, even though I know you just said it.
Izzy Odigie.
Yes. Where were you born?
I was born in New York.
Favorite food?
Hey. Rice and plantain.
Okay.
Plantain.
Favorite singer?
Kiss Daniel.
Favorite movie?
Life of Pi.
Next question. Favorite dancer?
That one's hard.
Hey,
that
one is hard.
I have different favorite dancers for different reasons.
Okay. I'll give you three, because I know you do other styles as well, not just Afro. So I'll give you three. So it's your three favorite dancers.
Okay, I would say Brandon wise, Paris. Dance wise, Afro. Jesus Christ. I would say I would say Limpopo Boy. I love Limpopo Boy from South Africa. But there are a lot. I have like top 20. And then let's say
I know it's so hard.
It's hard. I would say dancer. It's hard. I'm gonna just go with those two. I would just go with those two.
Okay, now safe answer. So Paris for Brandon, Limpopo Boy as just a
for
dancer.
Like style. Freestyling. I think he's crazy.
Yeah.
Ooh, choreographer. Let's say choreographer. I lied. I can't think. I can't think.
Okay, this one is a riddle. So there are 30 cows in a field and 28 chickens. How many didn't?
How many what?
How many didn't?
How many didn't?
Yeah.
Or dinners?
No, how many?
How many didn't?
Okay, wait, let me read it again. Let me read it again. So, there are 30 cows in a field and 28 chickens. How many didn't?
Did 28? Did it? No, zero didn't. Zero didn't.
No. 30 cows in a field, 28 chickens. How many
Didn't? 2.
Eh? Do you give up? Oh, someone just said the answer. Okay, the answer is 10 because 28 chickens.
I still don't understand. I don't know what you're talking about.
So 30 cows, 28. The ethics.
Oh!
Okay, that was a good one. All right.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Next question. What is the most dangerous thing you have ever done?
Taking a 16-hour flight to Japan.
Oh, 16 hours. Why was it dangerous?
Why was it dangerous?
Tell us.
Because it was just long, and it's like you're just like suspended in air. You're just thinking like, what if the fuel stops now? Let's say the engine just dies now and it's over.
Hey.
What's life? Would you fly? Would you land on water? Would you land on land? Like, what is it? What do you want to happen?
God forbid.
I've ridden Okada. I've been on a Okada bike.
Amen. Okay, that is
it's dangerous.
That is really, really living on the edge. Anyone who's ever been to Nigeria, born in Nigeria, Okada, yeah, really living on
licking breeze.
side.
You'll be on the bike just licking breeze. That's licking breeze. Anyhow.
So I'm gonna play you at your own game. Spelling goats.
Yes, because I can spell. So let's go.
Which word in the dictionary is spelt incorrectly?
Incorrectly. I know. Don't play with me.
Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. All right. I got some words for you. Okay. How do you spell? That was too quick, Izzy. That was too quick.
I know these things. All
right. Cool. All right. How do you spell Q?
Q?
Yeah.
Like a Q in line?
Yeah.
Queue.
Correct.
Yes, okay, because my heart was dropping. Wait, yes.
Okay, next word. How do you spell government?
GOVERNMENT.
Yes, correct. Okay, next word. How do you spell available?
AVAILABLE.
Correct. Do you know what? Yeah, I was proper trying to find words that's gonna trip. Guys, last word. Onomatopoeia.
How can you be giving me word that I gave them? Honor, ONO, matter, MATOPOEIA.
For God's sake!
Come on!
For God's sake! I was proper. Guys, don't get onto me about the words that I'm giving her yet, because I was proper trying to find words that people usually get wrong. Allow it. I got one more question. How many countries does Africa have?
54.
Nah, I'm done. I'm finished. Guys, the live is over. Okay. Izzy, so I asked you to bring something, but you declined my offer of of a shot. So I know you've got your, what is that? What is in that, first of all?
It's I think it's like grapefruit and mango.
We're going to cheers to the third edition of Afro Talk with the lovely and beautiful Izzy. So cheers, guys. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Okay, so Izzy, just tell us about yourself, your dance background. For most people who haven't been following your journey and your movement, yeah, just tell us briefly about yourself.
Okay, well, briefly, I was born in New York, and then I was raised in Nigeria from the age of 3 to 11. When I was in Nigeria, we did a lot of hip hop, so a lot of freestyling, popping and locking, and then like I guess commercial styles of hip hop. And then I came back to the US in 2007 when I finally adjusted into this environment. I went back into hip hop again. I went to school for, well, I took like a semester in dance. So they taught us like a little bit of ballet, jazz, modern. Then I joined a hip hop dance company. They taught me a little bit of voguing and then, you know, choreography in like stripper boots. I used to compete at Catwalk Classic, which is a combination of modeling and choreography. Then when I went to college, I found Afro by mistake, and then I fell in love, and then I've just been dancing ever since.
So you said you found Afro by mistake. So how did that happen? What do you mean by mistake?
Maybe mistake is not the right word, but it was faith. I believe it was faith, but because I've been doing hip hop, like everywhere I go, I find a hip hop crew. And then it was like Diversity Week, African Students Association. They were teaching like a routine to Skelewu. So I learned it and I did it. And the president was like, "Oh, where are you from?" I was like, "I'm Nigerian." And then she's like, "Do you want to start a dance team?" I was like, "Okay, sure, whatever." So that's kind of like how it kind of happened. It was just like, yeah.
And look now. But do you find though that a lot of the Afro dancers maybe that you've come across, or just like in general, like Afro wasn't necessarily their principal style when they first started?
Yeah, even a lot of the dancers on the continent, it was hip hop at first. Hip hop was the main thing, and then yes, obviously you know like the dance moves that are happening in the club, but they weren't chasing and training in it like hip hop. So like a lot of people started out with hip hop, and then eventually in like the early like let's say like 2014 and 2015, 2016, then they started like training in Afro or looking at Afro as a career.
So what did you study in university?
So I graduated in 2017, but I studied psychology.
So if you weren't a dancer, would that be the line of work that you would have gone into?
Oh no.
Really?
If I wasn't, no. It was like, because that was the only thing I could see myself studying. So, but if I wasn't a dancer, I'll probably be an actress. I wanted to be an actress at first, actually.
Right.
So, but I think I will always be in performing arts.
Right. So would you say like some of the principles that you kind of, I guess, studied in psychology, does that kind of translate over into like your dance, or when you're teaching people, when you're working with like a team of people, mentoring people, would you say it kind of influences it a little bit?
It does. Because like obviously I started off as a team, like being part of a team first, and I was the captain of the team. So there are a lot of dynamics with egos and personalities and PMSs and all that good stuff. So, but for me, like even when I teach, when I meet people now, like I kind of implement some type of like, I guess, psychological tactics to like make people feel comfortable around me very fast. Because when you're teaching like public classes, especially in the US, the classes are very big, and the UK too, the classes are very big. So like if you're teaching like a 2-hour class and you have like over 50 people in the room, you want to kind of like make sure everyone feels comfortable, even if they get the routine or not. So I feel like that also plays into psychology.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think it's always good to, I guess, know, because all people might see on like maybe Instagram or social media is just the dance side of you. But when you start getting into conversations with like a lot of our favorite dancers, you find that actually like there's a different layer like underneath that. So yeah, I wanted to touch on that part of it as well. Okay, so getting into the nitty gritty and stuff. So I'm only familiar with the US Afro scene from social media and some of the people that I've like maybe spoken with and stuff. And you've traveled quite a bit. So how would you say like it differs? So over here in the UK, the last two episodes that we've done on Afrotalk, I think one of the things that kept coming up was like the lack of, I guess, unity and maybe lack of support that might happen in the scene sometimes. So how does that differ in terms of the countries that you may have traveled to? Is it the same over in the US and different countries that you visited?
Okay. I would say in the US, I think, because then again, I haven't been to UK, so I don't really know what to compare it to. But I think in the US, we're pretty like supportive of one another. So like, for example, if I teach a class and Sarah or Mecca or EJ want to pull through the day of, they come in for free. Definitely come through. When it comes, and then we also have like a group chat where we like put in flyers, and we have like this on the band app so that people don't teach on the same days. So we have that. Yeah, so we have the communication so that, you know, everyone can make their money and, you know, people can attend each other's classes. So I think, yeah, I think here we have a pretty good blueprint that works for a lot of the
That's
instructors.
interesting. You laughed at my shocked face because that's that's not even me being shady, but like that kind of took me like aback because I wouldn't have expected that. Where do you think, or why do you think that there's, I guess, such that maybe solidarity within you guys that might be missing maybe in other countries? Because I think that's dope. Like to have a chat and it's like, oh, I'm teaching on Wednesday, and then everyone kind of agrees, okay, cool, we'll put our classes over there. Like I think that's dope, so that you can all support each other. So where does that, is it like is there a foundation of friendship, or is it just an understanding between you?
I would say to talk to, like, maybe not to speak for everyone, but I feel like, yeah, there is that kind of foundation of friendship within the dance industry. Like for me, I won't say for me separately, even though like I'm cordial with everyone, but I'm more towards the side. Like I don't even teach regularly, but like I'm more towards the side. But even when I come back, like, because like where I live is very far, but even when I come back, it's still like family. So there's support. And I feel like because in the US, our main source of income is our classes, right? We don't get to do music videos a lot of the time. We don't get to do festivals or concerts and stuff like that a lot of the time. So because people have to eat, I think that communication or that conversation was very important to have, so that we're not stepping on each other's toes or like taking money from this one's mouth and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it was very necessary because there are a lot of instructors out here. So you kind of want like organization, and even the people attending the classes overlap. So like the people attending Sarah's classes may also want to attend my class, and may also want to attend Mecca's class too. So it's like, if you have a schedule, it makes it easier for the community, for the customers as well, including the instructors.
Is it the same with so if jobs do come in, for instance, like would you say it works similarly with that? Because I know another thing that comes up is overlapping of of jobs. They've asked you, but then they've also asked this person and that person.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, which it's not our fault, because I might not know that they've already asked that person. So does it work the same way with, as you guys do with classes, does it work the same with jobs?
Not yet. So we literally just had, it was a conversation probably like 2 weeks ago. It was a Zoom meeting between dancers in Nigeria, in the US and the UK as well. And we kind of like, because there was friction. There was a little bit of friction between me and two other dancers in the meeting. And then we also shared like our experiences of where the promoter will hire one choreographer, and then the artist will hire another choreographer, and then they will leave us to like go head to head and figure it out, right? So we just kind of like concluded that day that we should also like start a chat so that when you get a gig, you just put it in like, hey, look, I've been hired to do this, and the third, and then someone can also like cross check so they don't accept a gig that has already been presented to you first. So I think that that's a good thing to implement because it happens way too much. I feel like the only issue will now come with if let's say it's not finalized yet. Because sometimes, yes, you can be presented with a gig, but it's not technically finalized because the contract has not been signed. So it's like, do I now put in the chat, hey guys, I'm in the process of securing this?
Yeah.
You hear what I'm saying? So it's like, I think it can be a bit mucky. I don't know.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's like you still want to keep it because it's still business at the end of the day, and there's still some business ethics that you have to employ. You're not just gonna go running around and say, no, I've got this gig, but I haven't secured it yet. And then, do you know what I mean? Yeah. Versus like your ethos and your values and stuff. So it's like finding the balance between the two without like messing yourself up. I
think if something like that were to happen where we both find ourselves like hired for the same gig, I feel like maybe a conversation before time so that we can come to a healthy compromise. I feel like both of us can now do the gig if it comes to that, because I feel like the promoter and the artist, they just put it in a way where they just be like, oh, okay, yeah, I said it, but fight, go and figure it out yourself. Yeah.
One of the things that also came up in the last couple of episodes, well, the last 2 episodes, was someone who's coming up in the industry. There's this thing of it's either you go into being a backing dancer or you go into teaching.
Yeah.
And I think what Patience and TC and myself were talking about was those are not the only lanes that you can go into. Yeah. And I think you're a good example of that because personally, I know you more for some of the work that you've created, as opposed to you. I mean, obviously, I know like your accolades and stuff, and I know some of the stuff you've worked on. But in terms of when I see you as a dancer, as a choreographer, like I know
you don't see me attached to an artist.
Yeah, like the creative stuff that you do, and that in itself is also a lane because with or without you, I guess, booking a commercial job. You are still you at the core of it. Like your world isn't going to come crashing down if you don't get a book. Yeah, if you don't book a job. So how did you kind of find or hone in on that thing where it's not whether I dance or whether I teach, this is still my lane. I guess finding your own lane. I guess in this industry.
I would say it's a combination of a bunch of things. Like growing up, I've always been a team member. I was never like a captain. And within the teams that I was in, if you're not a captain, you can't choreograph. So it was kind of like, it was shocking me. Like I really wanted to choreograph. Like when I listen to music, it's like, not even separate from the dancing, like I would envision like clothing to like camera angles to like, you know, the feeling that I want. If it's just like, oh, I hear this song and I feel like driving in a Jeep while the wind blows my scalp, like things like that. So it's like with Afro, I feel like this is one of the reasons why I did pursue Afro. It felt like I had my own playground and I could create anything I wanted. Because I feel like people should see this, like there are no rules. Like there's no one that's telling me, oh, do this, that, and the third. Like there are no rules, so I can create anything I want. So for me, because I'm in the US, because I know I'm not going to be in every music video that's coming out. When artists come to tour, back in when I started, it was like just during the summertime. You feel what I'm saying? So it was kind of like I felt like I had freedom. So for me, I feel like with my career, I've kind of like use the format of like an artist. So if an artist has a song that blows, they go on tour. If an artist wants to go do like an album, he can do that. If he wants to do a mixtape, he can do that. He has multiple ways that he can kind of like push his art out there. So for me, I think it's the same way. That's why I love Paris. That's why I love Paris, because like Paris, she's going to write a book today. She would decide she wants to do music tomorrow. She would do music video, direct it herself, shoot it herself. When she drops a dance video, it's like a whole music video set. It's like a whole production. So for me, it's kind of like that's the same thing that I want. Like I want my projects to be a staple thing that when Izzy drops her dance tape is like, oh shit, I'm interested to see what song she's using. I'm interested to see like what concept she's created. So that takes time. So I think I'm just like childish. So I'm just playing in my playground.
So it seems like you knew what you wanted to do and you just did it, to be honest. But I think in this day and age, there's so many factors that I feel like people along the years, people have thrown in and people are just overthinking it. Am I doing it right? Have I learned from the right person? Am I appropriating or am I appreciating? Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if maybe it was easier when you or myself first started versus now, whereas there's so many things that's been thrown into the pot that now someone who, even if they just want to learn it, now it's like, okay, it's like you're tiptoeing and you're like, okay, let me make sure. So how does someone, I guess, who's coming up in the industry or someone who does want to get into like the whole creative side of thing or choreographing or teaching, how do they combat those things? Is it just a case of, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it, trial and error and see what happens? Or do they still have to consider certain factors because the culture demands it?
Okay. I would say like, I don't think that even stops. Because even me too, I still have to be careful with certain things I do. Okay, so like for example, this year, I'm more into South African styles this year. I'm like trying to learn more about like Pansula, Bengas, Bourgeois, all that good stuff, right? And then I even dropped a dance, Ugukasa dance, right? And even within that, it's controversial. Oh, you're Nigerian. You're dropping this South African inspired thing in Ghana. You know, so it's like, it's a lot of things. But it's like, for me, I felt in my heart of hearts, like this is what I need to do. So even when I'm releasing it, I'm careful with how I even word certain stuff. So I'm Nigerian. I cannot create a South African move because I'm not South African and I haven't trained or am I professionally trained in South African street style. However, if I were to drop that dance and not say it was inspired by South African styles, I would be lying because it has the bounce and the flavor of South Africa. Cool. So I think it's just like knowing what it is you're in. So if let's say I want to join Afro, once you understand it, right? If you get the knowledge, you understand what it is you're doing and saying, no one else can argue you to the point of them saying you're wrong. Because if someone comes to me now, I'll be like, I know what the fuck I'm saying. I choreographed to I'm a piano song, and that's what inspired this. So therefore, it's inspired by South African dance styles, but I'm not South African, so it's not a South African dance. Understand? So it's like, I guess, once you understand what it is you're doing, and once you understand yourself, you're able to stand behind anything you do. Yes, there are going to be people that would nitpick, but if you're confident in what you've done, and if you're confident in your knowledge, it wouldn't matter as much.
Who are some of the dancers that inspire you the most right now?
Definitely Limpopo Boy. There's this Pansula teacher I actually just got hip to like a couple weeks ago. I think his name is Subsiswa. Is he South African? Yeah, he's South African. And then I love West Side Lifestyle. Like I love the way Ambrose moves. I love the way Yemi moves. Let's see, that inspired me now. Definitely, like I said, Paris Brandon wise. I love how she brands herself. Let's see, dance wise. You know, my Ghanaians, Lloyd and Ziggy. Love them. Afro Beast too, Yofi. I think everyone I've technically met inspires me in some way because majority of the time, like I get the time to spend maybe at least 2 weeks with people, especially when I do projects. So I kind of leave there with like different pieces of them that, push me to either be fearless or push me to either be, you know, more creative, or like, you know, they even teach me a dance move or stuff like that. So yeah, I think everyone I've met and will meet will continue to inspire me.
So the dance she created, is it under a specific style of dance? Contour, benga, zanku, zonto. I think that might be in regards to what we were speaking, the video you
Ubukasa
played.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a conversation that I was having with Ambrose too, right? Because I am Nigerian and this isn't a South African style, but I have given it a Zulu name. Where does it fall under? That was a very great question. And okay, for example, so where would the electric slide, where would that fall? Would that be hip hop? Do you know what the electric slide is? Yeah. So like, where would that fall? It's just a dance. Where would that fall?
I see what you mean with the comparison.
Yeah, because it's like it's tricky, because even I myself, I can't classify it, because that definitely isn't a Nigerian move. I am Nigerian, but it's not a Nigerian flavor to it. But therefore, it can't be South African. So it's a limbo. It's a vibe. That's what it is. It's a vibe. It's just an Afro move, but I can't really specify it to a certain dance style. So someone says, okay, the electric slide is considered an African American social dance, but that's not necessarily like a style. Like, social dance is not a style of dance. So I don't know. Because, okay, like Tesumola dance obviously will fall under a Nigerian street style, because that actually was like a street style before they gave it that name, at least from what I've heard. But that's a good question. I wouldn't know how to classify it, but it's definitely inspired by Amapiano. But it cannot be Amapiano because I'm not South African.
South African. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you think, so is that kind of saying if you are not necessarily from, I guess, the place or the culture, that you cannot create a dance move that might fall under that particular culture? Or does it depend on if you've maybe grown? So if I'm a Nigerian and I've been raised in, I don't know, Ghana or somewhere else, and I want to create a Ghanaian step, does it mean that I can't create it because I'm not technically from Nigeria, or does it, or do I get a pass if I've grown up around the culture? Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
I think like everything is not so like black and white. For example, because like I was having this conversation with Ambrose, because I felt a certain way. I was like, so what are you trying to say? Like, because one thing he said is like, oh, well, like, you're not from South Africa and you're not a maestro in that style. So I'm like, okay, for example, and that's something that I do agree with. If I'm not from that culture and I haven't trained in that style, or I haven't trained in like the cultural styles, I haven't lived in the culture, I haven't like grown up in it, how can I come and now tell you I add a style to your culture?
Your country.
You feel what I'm saying? So I feel like in that instance, that's highly impossible. However, I feel like limiting the box to just saying, oh, if you grew up there, that's the only way you can create a dance move, I feel like that's going to be like a problem in the long run. You feel what I'm saying? But I don't know. I think like you don't necessarily have to be South African, but I feel like if you are someone who has like trained in that style of dance, and that's like a part of you, I feel like you should have every right to create something. And then even if the people within that community, or the leaders within that community, or the dance maestros within that community accept it in, then why not? But another thing he also said is like, okay, sometimes when a dance move majority of the time is created from seeing it on the street. So if, let's say you do a dance move, you start doing a dance move, you start seeing it everywhere, it just spreads naturally. Then you put a name to it. It's tricky. I don't feel like they're like steps, but they're steps. it's like they're steps, but they're not really steps. Like obviously, I can't wake up one day and say I want to make a dance move, Egyptian dance move. And I've never been to Egypt. I've never trained in Egyptian dance styles. I've never done anything. So I feel like also it's kind of like, it's like you don't want to limit creativity, but you just don't want everybody to have their hands in one pot. So I completely understand. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, but you know what? Yeah, but you know what?
I don't know.
There's something real about actually saying, you know, I don't know, because I think we're always tempted to always feel like we have the answers to everything, and sometimes don't. Sometimes in our minds it is as simple as I'm inspired by this, or I've learned from this person, I'm inspired by this culture, and you know, your mind and your spirit and your body naturally gravitates towards it, that when you are creating something, your body just kind of sways that way. So yeah, I get what you mean, and I think it's real for saying like I don't know, but I've created this thing, and it is. But I'm interested to see what other people think, because I think this is something that's really valid, because I think now is the time we're adding to history almost, because in 10 years
now.
Yeah, exactly. And I think to an extent art has to evolve. Like, it has to evolve. Yes, you have to preserve the foundations of it, but it is always evolving. In 10 years it's not going to look how it looks now. So how do we find the balance between still respecting what it is, but still opening the door or leaving room a little bit for it to allow the evolution to happen without
I have a question, because I was having this conversation with my friend. Okay, for example, Kuduro is like the traditional style in Angola, or like the main street style, and then Afro House came out of that, right? So now that we are in this generation where there's kind of a fusion of the word Afro fusion, or we're fusing styles, a lot of routines, fuse styles. My friend told me eventually that will become a style of dance. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I couldn't really picture that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because just like music, for example, there's Afro beat, and then the Afro pop is kind of a mixture of a lot of different things, and that now it's becoming a genre. So do you think that there will become a time where there will be no line of separation between the dance styles, because everyone is fusing, and that will become a genre on its own?
I would say it probably already is, but I think you still have to pay homage to an extent to where those different things that because at the end of the day, the fusion is still going to be the operative word. Like, you're fusing something, so there's still going to be some kind of link to many different other styles, and in a way it's actually a positive thing, because you might go to an Afrofusion class and they've taught you steps from Coupe de Calais, steps from Afro House, steps from Benga, and then it makes you want to kind of do this and explore a little bit more.
I think now that you're saying it, I feel like Afrofusion can actually help with tourism. And this is going to be weird, because I literally just made this connection just now.
Tell me more.
It can help with tourism, because, okay, for example, if let's say I teach a piece where I'm showing you some fire moves from even when I went to Japan, right? So before I start the choreography, I do a warm-up section, but then I break down the different moves that I actually know the names and the origin, the country of origin. So I would go to South Africa, I would teach them Vosho, I would teach them different variations of Vosho, hand Vosho. Then I'll go to Ghana, then I'll go to Nigeria. So that's already 3 different countries that I've touched on. So that could also be oh snap, I never heard no South African music. Let me go to South Africa. Oh, I never heard no Ghanaian. Who's Shatta Wale? Let me go to Ghana. Let me go to Nigeria. So I feel maybe there's a correlation between Afrofusion and tourism.
What? Let's take hip hop, for instance. Some people feel like some of the foundational steps in hip hop are reminiscent of steps in from Africa, for instance. So if you're fusing, I guess, Afro and hip hop, which we've seen Afro hip hop. Is that cause for someone to say, I'm not comfortable with that because the two require two different things? Or does it fall under the whole, but we're evolving, where, you know, if I'm someone who
no.
I didn't finish sentence. I didn't land. No.
Nah. Because, like, okay, for example, when Paris did the what's it called? The Paris Live, and she did the Rema corny thing, right? I like that she kept it her style. If she started hitting a guara guara in that instance, I would have been pissed off. I'd have been pissed off. You feel me? So my thing is just like, you can explore behind the scenes and be like, okay, I appreciate this, Because my thing is like, hip hop is a completely different language. I like to call language like the language of your body, your posture, to the way you move, to the energy is different. Lines is different. This one got that's a hip hop move. That's a whole different talk. But that's a whole different language.
100.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't say because the Running Man is this, but if I want to do this, it's the same thing. Those are two different languages. Those are no.
So how would you then say, though, because I feel like a lot of these, I guess, I don't know, these pages that we follow, and sometimes even artists or DJs can contribute to that saturation of things to make it okay because if they have to have seen it from somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So all of a sudden you get these dance pages, or you get artists and stuff who are, I don't know, reposting, you know, certain types of dancers who they're just sprinkling in. They're not doing it all. They're just sprinkling it in, and then all of a sudden that becomes its own thing, and then this person sees it, and then it's like, oh, actually, it's okay to do that because I saw it on this Afro page, and well, if the Afro page is reposting it, then it's okay. So do you think that they also need to be considered when we're having conversations like this, because they also have the influence on the way that our thing is going?
I think with the social media game, we also have to, sorry, I'm like seeing a lot of comments, it's like paragraphs, so they kind of distracted. So I think with the social media game, we also have to take it with a grain of salt. Like, obviously, when it comes to branding, like, a lot of these artists are going to gravitate to, like, things that look foreign and look, you know, viral. Majority of the time is like, okay, let me get this kid, or let me get this, you know, non-African looking person, or this exotic looking person that's doing this. They might not necessarily be doing the hardest choreography, but it's like, I know this is content that looks universal and is easily digestible, right? So we always have to take it with a grain of salt. Again, I can't tell someone what to do on their page. We can try to have these conversations with the artist, you know, when we sit down with them. My issue will come with this, right? If, let's say, you're getting these artists that are just posting these videos that are just like what I like to call snack videos. If they start to hire these people, if they start to hire these people for gigs, that's when I think I will be like, okay, let's cut the bullshit here. Relax. Yeah. But for social media, obviously the social media game is to push your content out as far as possible. So there are going to be certain things that they're going to do that is going to be like, oh, well, but you didn't see my video. I was breaking my back. I was doing this and I was doing that. But at the end of the day, it's their pitch. They do have a responsibility, but I'm just saying, more than likely they're going to do what they're going to do.
They're not going to, they're going to do what they're going to do. So Corey's asked, I think this is relating to when we're talking about the fusion. Is it not the same thing regarding different African street styles when they are fused?
Um,
Good
let me
point.
think about this one. I know there's
True.
certain like I guess like street styles that let's say like stem from a traditional style. So there's certain rules where like obviously you can't combine certain traditional styles together. I know there's certain like countries that have those rules. For example, um, okay, for me, a lot of Nigerians and Ghanaians they do a lot of blending, right? I feel this is my theory. I feel the song kind of leads you, right? If I'm dancing to a South African house song, it's
Yeah.
very rare for me to start doing kappa to
Yeah.
that beat. It just does not make sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's very like if let's say I'm doing like I'm listening to something from Ethiopia, then I'll
Yeah.
start
Naturally,
doing
have that bounce. Yeah.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense. So I think if it makes sense, but then again, you also have to understand the music you're listening to and understand the moves that you're doing. I feel like there's a certain mood and certain movements are created because of a certain language or certain beat or certain feel within the music that's attached to it.
To that culture.
You feel
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But if you're just out here wilding, like
I'm just doing anyhow.
if you're just out
Just doing
here
anyhow.
wilding, you know, for me, for Nigerians, I know a lot of Nigerians and Ghanaians, they do mix. Like for example, konto, like for the music that go with konto music, like it's very easy for you to kind of do like some dance hall moves to konto. But majority of the time, konto has its own like galala style. Shaku Shaku Phil has his own like zanku, bise, all these different things. But then again, how about this, right? For Nigeria, right? Let me not even say Nigeria, for Afro style, because we don't really have that much vocabulary documented. I'm saying for street styles, right?
Right.
How much do we really have to interpret the music that we hear?
Mm. So someone mentioned this last week. Essie, she was one of the viewers on the live, and she was saying about, I guess, our vocabulary being codified.
Okay.
And I was saying, well, how do we even start doing that? Like, how do I think it's necessary to do, even though, like, 50, 100 years ago, it wasn't like a thing. It just was part of our being, as part of the lifestyle then with our ancestors. But now it's seeming more and more like it's important to document our stuff, to codify it, to pattern it. But how do we even where does that even start, or where do you even start to, and then do you then have to look at, okay, well, does this move, can it really fall under it? Is it a unique thing, or is it something that exists already, or is it just a variation like of something that's already there already? I think it's important, and I think it's seeming more and more as each year goes by. It seems like, oh boy, we have to really start doing. I think the culture is important, and paying homage to our ancestors and stuff, but we live in different
A
times.
different world, yeah.
I mean, where now it's anybody can just infiltrate it, anyone can
Yeah.
just interpret it in a way. It's like ballet, you can't just reinterpret ballet. But then also, are we taking away from the beauty of what African dance is, where
Is expression.
it is
Is
expressive, it is
expression.
open, exactly. So I think that's where, like, my thing is, where it's like, I think it's important to do, but also, this is my personal question, what I'm asking, like, do you have to be proficient in the styles that you're fusing to actually?
Okay, for example, right? Let me use Ninja as an example, right? Not saying that there weren't dance styles, but for a very long time there was no name for like the street styles. Konto was a thing. However, okay, like Galala, Atlanta, like literally they just decided on the two main dance styles now. They just named them Konto, which Galala falls under, and then Shaku Shaku, which Zanku falls under, right? They just named that now. So if let's say I started teaching, street styles, Nigeria street styles, like in 2014 or 2015, before there was a name, how can I train in something that has no structure in a way? You understand what I'm saying? So my thing is, like, I feel like if you are going to use a move from a different style, like, because for a very long time it was just different moves. If I am going to use a move, I wouldn't want to teach something that's wrong just because, like, okay, for example, Zanku is hot now, but I don't know how to do the Zanku correctly. I shouldn't be teaching that, because now if I teach you do the Zanku like this, and then that person now takes this move, takes it to Japan, they will not put my name, be like, yes, Izzy is the one who taught me how to do Zanku like this. Then I'm teaching someone the wrong thing. But I don't, that's a, because, like, when it does come to, because I mean, I guess when it does come to traditional styles, like, you have to kind of have been trained in this style for years before you can eventually teach somebody. So, okay, again, what are classes for? Or are they for different things? There's someone who's a dance instructor who teaches you the foundation of dance. And there are people who just teach choreography. So, like, what are classes for? Or can both exist? Or do you have to be someone who knows how to? Because people ask me, teach me how to dance, right? I can't teach you how to dance. However, I can teach you my choreography. I'm not a teacher. Like, I'm not like a dance teacher where you go to a school. It's like, okay, I'm going to break down the foundations. Like in ballet, I will teach you from first to fifth position. I will break down these different things for you. However, I'm a choreographer because I create. A dance instructor hires a choreographer to come in and teach a choreography. Two separate things. So my thing is just like, if I'm telling you I'm teaching you how to dance, I'm a dance instructor. That's something completely different. But if I'm a choreographer and you're learning my piece, I don't think you should put a limit on creation. However, you should be respectful with the moves that you're using.
And Esther SC has said, so in that case, does Afrofusion warrant a class? Should we not be teaching a particular style and stick to that?
So, yikes. Okay, so does Afrofusion warrant a class? Like, should you just take foundation classes? Okay, again, this goes back to what I was asking. There should be foundation classes, right? And choreography classes. Two separate things. But my thing is just like, I feel like people should allow someone to try. It's not the first video you just jump on somebody and just be, you shouldn't be doing it because you're this, that, and the third. Like, social media is literally just now when you start to put money, that's why when TC came and I was asking, like, this trial and error phase, do you charge for that? I think the issue comes when you start to charge somebody to come and learn something that you yourself, you're still like learning. They're still in the beginning stages of learning. You have nothing to teach, but you're paying people to come and be in your atmosphere. That's what I feel. That's what I feel. You know, be like, guys, let's vibe. Pay me and we'll vibe. You feel what I'm saying? So I feel like that is kind of like I don't know, man.
I think a good point. Yeah. Where is it? He said it's not that deep. We know when something is right and authentic. I agree. I agree.
I feel like everyone who decides to come into this owes like a responsibility to the culture as well as themselves, to ask themselves. Because when you know you shouldn't be teaching, you yourself, you know. So it also has to do with like a internal question, like, fam, like, should I be teaching? Do I have anything to teach? Do I even know how to teach? Because there are a lot of great dancers that do not know how to teach. So it's like you continue to have to ask yourself, like, what is it I'm teaching? Do I actually know how to teach it? Should I be teaching it? And I guess it's not a black and white thing.
There's something actually quite nice about not knowing everything about it, which is where conversations, like before this conversation, like we hadn't necessarily had like a, you know, in-depth convo, but now like we're learning a lot about each other's, you know, values and morals, and you know, oh, we have like this in common, and then from that it builds. And you know, who used to say like maybe in a month or two, it's like, oh, Izzy, as in, what do you think about this thing, or because this thing is happening, and, but you know what I mean? And that's how we
there needs to be an exchange. There needs to be conversations happening all the time. For me, that's why I like to travel. I like to talk to dancers in like, you know, different environments, because I feel like even the perception that dancers may have from different continents may have of the next continent may even stop the conversation from happening. But it's like once we start to have conversations, you realize that, yo, we are going through the same dynamic, just different location. You feel me? So I appreciate this this conversation. Do you think that this, I guess, like, I won't say obsession, or this issue of worrying about, oh, but why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Do you think it like is related to like who gets the gigs? Because maybe it's so like irritating because these people maybe they have like a higher following on Instagram, so they're able to sell out more classes and stuff. Is that it? Like, why is everyone so focused on that aspect if it's not affecting you?
That is a question. Okay. That is a question.
So do you feel like the nitpickiness is like there because maybe certain people that they feel shouldn't be highlighted are highlighted because they're doing, you know, are highlighted maybe by artists, maybe they're getting the gigs, maybe, you know, they're building a following, they're getting like the I guess the opportunities and stuff like that, in addition to the culture, in addition to wanting to keep the culture. But do you feel like, because you can't come and kill yourself, you know what I'm saying? Like every day someone is going to be coming out saying I'm an Afro dancer. So it's like, why spend like your time nitpicking when you could just be building, I guess, the community that is doing it right? Because you know that community eventually will lead everything. I don't know.
Oh, this is a loaded question. I'm not gonna lie. I think part of the frustration, if we're being completely 100, does probably come a little bit from, maybe those people are building, they have more of a following, they're highlighted more, you know, maybe they're hired for different jobs, and, you know, you're here doing the work and you're researching and you've got so much knowledge and foundation and blah, blah, but then you have maybe someone who's come into it the last couple of months and they've blown up, they're getting hired for jobs. If we're being honest with ourselves, part of the frustration will come from that. So some people, it is a genuine concern for the culture not getting lost in the source. But then also, there is going to be some form of frustration because, you know, you are here, you are reading books,
breaking your back.
You are doing everything correct, and you're doing, you know, what needs to be done, and then someone just comes along. But I think we said this last week, or maybe it's the week before, with patience. There's something to be learned from each other. I think sometimes the people who are really focused on, you know, gaining knowledge and, you know, reading and stuff like that, at the end of the day, in order for, we have to reach the masses if we want to make an impact, which is something that maybe someone who is social media savvy has that we don't have. So there's some kind of collaboration that needs to happen, because there's something that they have that we can utilize, and there's something that we have that they can utilize. So don't get me wrong, like, I get the frustration, like I completely understand it. Sometimes I've been frustrated when I've seen it, but I think there is a potential positive that can definitely come out of it if we all, and I say we because we're all in it together. There's a certain level of ego that maybe we all need to work on, that we can drop, that we can collaborate from, not just ourselves, from, you know, from the other side, because when the outsiders are looking in people from other styles, we're all groups together. That we are all the same under their eyes. So instead of us always having this tug of war, maybe there needs to be some kind of, and I'm not saying it's not gonna happen tomorrow, like, but there is something that each party has that
can learn from the other.
That we need from each other. And I think that's the silver lining.
Yeah, because I feel like just being stuck on just that aspect, like it's like that fly that's always like by your ear. You can do this. It's still gonna come back. There's always gonna be another person that blows off of just one video, and the next thing all of a sudden they're teaching classes. I'm an Afro Dance. I'm a choreographer. I'm a creative director. Da 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 da. So it's like, in that instance, it's like, okay, since you're building this platform, let me just send you like, hey, look, here's my flyer. Come take my class. So I can teach you. Or if you need help with this, that, and third, let's collaborate. I can teach you. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing a lot of dancers, and this is everywhere, like there are dancers, like you said, that are very talented, but they don't know the business side. And whether we like it or not, social media is part of the business.
Yep.
Especially as dancers. And I feel like another thing that could possibly help us is if we continue to build the independence separate from the artist. I don't think people would care as much about what someone else is doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're still going to care about the culture because you're building your own industry, but you're not going to care as much like, why is this person getting this gig and that gig and the third? Because it's always because the artist picks this person, or because the artist is reposting this person, or because this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, once we start to have like our own world of dance, or when we start to have our own Zumba concerts where we're able to pay instructors maybe like $5,000 based off of just dancing, no artist involved. You're able to pull in crowds in the thousands. You're not gonna care. Oh, you want to dance? Oh, you're on Instagram. That's cute. Okay, you're getting this. Okay, that's cute. That's cute. But are you an instructor at this event or that event? Because when money comes into it, you're not throwing your money at just anybody.
As in,
you know what I'm saying? That's what I feel like our energy should be put more into. Because like I said, the ones who are here to stay will stay, and those who just do it for the likes, eventually even their views will start to come down. Like for me, obviously, when I travel to different countries, I do collaborate with like dancers that I obviously feel like there could be an exchange happening. Also, because of situations that happened in the beginning of this year, I was also inspired to like drop like tribe tips. So like it's like a weekly thing I did before the quarantine where like I'll just share like whatever information I have learned so far during my time in the industry, and it's gonna come back. So the new things I learned, I'll just put it out there, and people ask questions. I reply in the comment sections, etc. Some people DM me. Sometimes I have lives, like people ask questions, etc. And I also do like during this quarantine, I've been interviewing dancers from Nigeria. I interviewed Credo, Ambrose. I did Lloyd. I did Bolu. Tomorrow I'm doing Yemi Osokoya. So it's like you can learn from different people's like perspectives and stuff like that. But I feel like maybe like eventually there should be kind of like a dance like panel, like how they have panels for music and panels for like, you know, promoters and stuff like that. But I think utilizing social media is the perfect way to like get at me. I mean, if you're asking a sensible question, I will reply. just don't hit me like, hey, and then expect me to like reply. But I'm accessible. My thing is just like, I want to learn because, okay, I don't know like the scenarios that happen in the UK. Because like that's what you even pitched to me. It's like, okay, you guys in the UK, you have your own thing going on. You might be oblivious to what's happening in the US, and people in the US are oblivious to what's happening in Nigeria or Ghana. So I think this is the best way to like, you know, exchange information.
So someone's just asked a good question. So please share your sources that you would recommend to us outside your culture to make sure we are getting authentic content.
Start NWE. Just look at videos, go on YouTube. I would say for Manuel Kanza, he does have like what's it called, like online classes and tutorials when it comes to Kuduro. Let's say Limpopo is teaching at a school, but I don't think he has online classes yet. Lloyd, sometimes they drop tutorials on his YouTube. Travel if you can. Just travel. If you can't travel, go to Nigeria, definitely. Well, first of all, you just have to decide like which style you want to, like, I guess, focus on. Like for me, Ninja is my main style, but I want to learn a lot of different styles. So you can start with dance pages, maybe get to know like the different like Afro dancers that are in the world, kinda. But then just start to dig a little bit deeper, maybe read some articles, because now more than ever a lot of the dancers are starting to do like press documentaries, etc. So you can start there. But I would say the best way to do it, if you can't attend classes or if you don't have like any instructors in your area, will be to just travel to the continent. It's our responsibility to help our industry. Like that's how we got to look at it. Like this is our business, so it's our responsibility. You can't be waiting for nobody to save us.
100, 1000%. Because I think we have been doing that for the longest, where we feel like we need this brand to validate us, or this artist to validate us, or but there's a reason why they're coming to us. There's a reason why, you know, a song drops or a particular brand does something and they feel like they need this energy or this thing for their brand. So there's a power that we have that we need to hone in on and take
and
back.
That's right, Corinne. We all definitely need to be on the same page. Like, because my thing is like, regardless of how I feel about you, what you did yesterday, who your father is, I don't care. It's like, yo, if you're in this industry, when it comes to business, I am for you, like regardless. So like if let's say I get a gig, or like let's say someone refers me and says, oh, who do you think would be perfect for this style? If someone, this is an Angolan artist, if I know someone in Kuduro, I may not fuck with you, I'm still gonna recommend you, because at the end of the day, that referral looks good on me too, and that referral looks good on the industry as well.
Very true.
And oh yeah, and that's another thing. I think this whole Afro thing can get a bit confusing. Now I'm gonna like backtrack and contradict what the hell I said.
No, be saying it.
Because I would say with the Western worlds, right? When they hear I'm an Afro dancer, they group everything together. They don't know that within Afro, they're like different styles. So it now reaches a point where, let's say they get an Afro artist on a label, right? And this Afro artist is from Nigeria. Let's just say Nigeria. And then they're like, oh, we need an Afro choreographer. So yeah, we know an Afro choreographer, but that Afro choreographer does Pamsula. Or that Afro choreographer does Ndombolo. That Afro house choreographer does Afro house. So you're hiring the wrong person for the job, because all you just see is Afro. Oh my God, she did this. She did this. She's Afro. We'll just, and then it now comes out as like wrong, as a trash performance, because it's like you're not. It's weird. I guess having that plug. So obviously, if let's say I get a gig with like Spotify or something, and they're like, yo, hire like choreographers for okay, even Afro Nation. Okay, let's use the example of Afro Nation. Like, obviously the lineup wasn't just Nigerian artists. Like, you had Inos from Congo, you had Moonchild from South Africa, we had Ghanaians, we had Nigerians. So for me, I hired dancers that are versatile in different styles. It's like people that have different styles of dance come together in order to choreograph or create for like such a vast lineup. So I just feel like maybe in the US or in the Western world, like there just needs to be more people that are knowledgeable, because with the conversations I be having with some people in certain companies, like fam, they don't know jack. They don't know anything at all. They don't know.
Is it not the same? Is it not the same? I can imagine. I can only imagine.
I think it is gonna happen, and we just need to create more lovers of the arts. Like when I go to radio stations, I be dropping names like, yo, in Nigeria there's this, in the UK there's this, and this. Because it's like, yo, it's so cool. Our industry is so cool, and there's so many people who are able to do so many amazing things. Like, I'm so prideful about it. So the person would be like, oh, okay, let me see a video. And then I show them a video. It's like, oh, okay, snap. Now I want to do an interview with this person, or link me up with this person. So I think just as much as we create, we need to be amplifiers of our culture. Everywhere we go, if I meet someone who's a label head, I'm talking Afro. Like, when someone asks me, what style of dance do you do to? Or someone asks me, oh, why don't you do hip hop dance? I'm like, because I'm choosing African music.
Right.
That's what I'm choosing. Because that's what I love. You feel me? So it would take time.
Then it goes back to what you said previously as well. Like, if we remove that whole, the artist is who validates us, then we eliminate all of that, where it's like, regardless whether these jobs are coming in or not, we are who we are, and we are just as strong. Because how many concerts have we been to, like, especially Afrobeats ones, where you've gone and you're watching the artist, but you're not watching that. You're watching them, but you're watching the dancers, and you're saying, yo, do you know what I mean? Like, how much of a crowd do the dancers themselves like pull in? Even though, yeah, the artist might be big, but now where I feel like it's becoming on the stage, where you're on the stage, but me too, I'm on stage.
Yo, it's like just the same amount of Snapchats and Insta stories that the artists get, the dancers getting on there. People are shouting, oh my God, oh my God. So it's just like, fam, you just gotta look at yourself like, I'm that person. Like, I'm on this stage. They brought me on this stage for a reason. I think the moment I realized that was the Burner performance. I said, whoa. I said, walls. Come on.
Walls.
Everything. I said, everything happened. So I was just like, fam, like, you just really need to understand that the power you have is just as powerful as music. And for me, you know, for a long time, because now there's a lot of pressure, like, oh, why don't you just do music? Music travels further. And I'm just like, no, you're not ready. Yes, we may not be making the same amount of money yet, but I think give us 5 years. They're going to be hiring dancers as like how they have Afro Nation, they have the dancers on the bill. There's going to be dance groups on there as well.
Amen.
Let's give it 5 years.
Manifestations, 1,000%. Izzy, this has been like this has been so dope to do this with you. Obviously, you're someone that like I follow since, I think it was from when you brought out oh my God, what was that A-Star?
Oh, the X-Line? X-Line?
Yes, from then when you had like the braids, and I was like, who is this girl? Like, I was like, who that is?
I look back at the video, I'll just be like, but I like it because it's like, okay, at least I can see that I'm growing. Like, I'm not where I want to be yet, but like I'm growing. So it's beautiful to see though. But no, that was a
I know that was. When was that? That was
2016. 2016.
Oh, that was a long time ago. No.
Yes.
So it's been nice like having this, and I think more importantly to get a completely different perspective, especially for people who haven't necessarily like traveled, or you know, sometimes you can get so stuck in your bubble because, you know, we're in the UK and the US and you think it's just happening to you, or you think, and when you expand that line of conversation to someone who's not necessarily in your, you know, country, and then you see that actually we share common interests and stuff like that. So it's been really cool for me, like, to have this confidence and actually connect with you and speak to you, rather than just, you know, following your journey from like social media and stuff, but actually have a human to human conversation about
thank you so much for asking me,
guys. Next week again we'll have another amazing person on here. So have a good week, guys. Love. Bye.